Okay. Hey, yo, I'd like to go over this. Can you guys? Find the measure of side B. Okay. Do I use law? So the main thing with this test is we have to decide whether we're going to use the law of sines or the law of cosines. So, look at, I have an angle opposite side, and I'm trying to solve for B, which I have an angle and an opposite side. Law of sines or law of cosines? Tell each other in the group what it is. Opposite angle, opposite side is law of sines. So we go ahead and do sine A over A equals what I got, B sine B over B, lowercase b, right? Pretty self-explanatory. So the capital A is the angle, lowercase a is the side, sine 25 degrees over 12 equals sine 60 degrees over B. Now I can do the cross multiplication. Sine 25 degrees times B equals sine 60 degrees times 12. To solve for B, I divide by sine of 25 degrees. I am right in the way of the camera. I need to maybe right over here. Okay, so these are going to cancel out. I got B equals sine 60 degrees times 12 over sine 25 degrees. Now you're going to enter it into your calculator. Blup, 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 blup. And we get 24.59 inches. I will go back. There you go. I mean, for this year, unless you take it again. Well, I guess, you can take AP Stats. Can you take AP Stats right now? I don't know if that's available. 24.59 inches. It's in inches. All right. This is the group test review, chapter 6, our final chapter test review, where we're going over law of sines, law of cosines, and vectors, right? We got the vectors. So anyhow, all right, solve for angle B. What's the first thing that we're going to do to solve this? Let's draw a triangle, shall we? Now, it's actually easier to put the angle over here to determine what type of triangle it is, but nonetheless, I give you one solution. So we'll have A here. I like the angle here. It doesn't matter where you put it. B, C, no, actually, it doesn't matter where you put it, but I'm going to write it like this, A, B, C. I'm going to say 42 degrees. B is 7, A is 10. So I'm looking at this. What are you guys thinking? What are we solving for? Solve for angle B. So we're solving for this angle right here. Law of sines or law of cosines? That's what we got to figure out. Law of sines or law of cosines? Law of sines, right? Because opposite angle, opposite side, solving for this, opposite angle, opposite side. It's all set up so nicely. So I'm going to say sine of 42 degrees all over what? A. Which is what number? 10, right? Equals sine of B all over 7. Cross multiply. Now, this one actually, I don't know if someone said it in this class or the other, but you can just multiply by 7 on both sides instead of doing the cross multiplication. But I'm going to do cross multiplication to stay consistent. Sine of b times 10 equals sine of 42 times 7. To solve for sine b, I divide by 10. So sine of b equals sine of 42 times 7 all over 10. And then go ahead and punch that in your calculator. Okay, so I'm going to get sine of b equals 0.46391424. Now to solve for b, like we said, we get the inverse of sine. Inverse of sine over here. That's going to cancel out. So the inverse of that, I keep my answer in my calculator, right? I do inverse sine. Then I have a button that has ANS, which means answer from my previous answer. It throws that in there. And I get B is approximately 27.993 degrees. Got to round that 3 up. That's all you've got. Tony, don't let it get to your head, though. You know what I mean? Your beauty. Okay. 27.93. Is that what I said? Okay. So the difference between law of sines and law of cosines. Remember, law of sines, opposite angle, opposite side, opposite angle, opposite side. Law of cosines, we got 1, 2, 3 parts with one angle. Okay, usually there's one angle and 3 sides. Solving for a side or solving for an angle. Anyhow, so solving for B. What do you guys think? Law of sines or law of cosines?
Cosine.
Cosines. So we can write this as B squared equals A squared plus C squared times 2AC. Cosine what? Big B. Right? Cosine the angle opposite the side you're trying to find out. So, what do you think would be good for you to write on your cheat sheet? So, we're solving for b. So I'm going to do b squared equals, now it doesn't matter which one's a, which one's b, but a is technically 16, b is technically 20, 10. 16 squared plus 10 squared times 2 times 16 times 10 times cosine 40 degrees. Okay, well, let's b squared, so I have to get the square root at the end. So then let's do the easy part, right? Just go 16 squared. 16 times 16 is 256. 100 squared is 100. 2 times 16 times 10. I believe that's 332. 320. Hang on a second. Did I write? Sorry, we got to correct this. That didn't seem right. This is subtract 2AC. Don't forget that's a minus 2AC. YouTube world out there. Good thing not many people are paying attention to me. Okay, so anyway, minus 2 times 16 times 10. I believe it's 320. Times cosine 40 degrees. So I get the cosine 40. I can multiply these. Negative 320 times cosine 40. So cosine 40 times 320 is 245. So, and I can add these. 356 minus this times this is 245.13422218. That's going to equal b squared. So now I take 356 minus the answer, and I get b squared equals 110.86577782. And you just get the square root of that answer. So b is approximately 10.53 kilometers. What do I use? Law of sines or law of cosines to solve for a measure of angle A? Tell me in your group, what am I going to use?
Cosine.
So, if I'm solving, okay, here's where it gets hard. Well, I said, if I'm solving for angle A, which side do I set it all equal to? Which side? 12, 18, or 8? If I'm solving for this angle, 8, which is going to be my, because that's where my angle is. A squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cosine big A. So let's plug it in. We're solving for A. No, we're not solving for A. Sorry, what are we solving for? We're solving for A. So I got 8 squared equals, now these don't matter again, but that's technically B. 18 squared plus 12 squared. I could have flipped those. Minus 2 times 18 times 12 cosine A. Solving for A. Am I in the way there? And let's just do what we do. 8 squared is 64. No problem. 18 squared, I have no idea. I should know. 18, anyone know? Squared is 357. It's 24, 320. It's 324, everyone. Okay, anyway, 12 squared is 121. Oh my gosh, I'm such an idiot. I don't even know. 2 times 18 times 12. 2, 18. Negative 432 cosine big A. Now, I can add those, but can I subtract that? Can I go 324 plus 140 minus 4? No, because this is tied to that, right? It's multiplied by that. I got to multiply that first. But I can add these two. So I say 64 equals 324 plus 144. 324 plus 144. 468 minus 432 cosine big A. Now, to solve for big A, I got to subtract 468, then divide by negative 432, then get the inverse, right? Subtract by 468, 64 minus 468. I get negative 404 equals negative 432 cosine A. Solve for cosine A, what do I do? Divide negative 432, which is good because that makes that positive. And then we got 0.935185185 equals cosine A. That's a weird S. How do I get rid of the cosine? Inverse. Right? Inverse it. Inverse it. Now, like I said, I have the 0.935815 in my calculator. I hit second cosine, and I have an ANS button. Second ANS for my previous answer. So I don't have to plug that whole thing in there, and it just calculates it. I get A is approximately 20.74 degrees. 20.74 degrees. The inverse. You do Sure. We need to find the component form of this vector. I don't know if you guys can see the arrow, but the arrow's there, right? So this is the initial point. This is the terminal point. Component form is probably something you need on your cheat sheet. And there it is, right? You guys have that on your cheat sheety? Sheety, right? Component form, this being the initial point, this being the terminal point, is the terminal point 1 minus the initial point 2, terminal point 2, initial point 1, terminal point 2 minus initial point 2. And you got to put in those little freaking arrow kind of parentheses kind of things. And then we ended up with V1, V2. And what does a component form do? Do you guys remember? It puts the vector at the origin, right? That's what component form does. It puts it there. It's just a lot easier to get the length and the location and all that stuff. Anyhow, you guys probably have that, but it's right there. Let's go and put it in component form. So, we have, this is going to be my P1. This will be my P2. This will be my Q1. This will be my Q2. Make sure you go dink, dink, 3 minus -1, comma, 5 minus -1. Flock, flock. I'll take points off if you do parentheses instead of arrows, right? You guys put in the arrow things, right? Don't put parentheses or else you'll be fired. And yes, I said that on live television. 4, 6. That's all you got to do. Oh, I was standing in the way. When I get in that angle, I stand in the way. Darn it. Well, maybe I wasn't. I don't know. Okay, 4, 6. Guess what it's going to be asked next? You guys already know. What is the magnitude, right? Now, the magnitude is the square root of 4 squared plus 6 squared, but magnitude is written like that. Q1 minus P1 squared plus Q2 minus P2 squared, or we have the 4, 6. That was my component form, right? So the magnitude is just 4 squared plus 6 squared. You can just write it like that. 4 squared is 16 plus 36. And 16 plus 36, I want to say, okay, 52. Square root of 52. Now, does that break down? 52 is 26 and 2. 26 is 2 and 13. I got 2 2's, which is square root of 2 times 2 times 13. 2 times 2 is 4, right? Square root of 4 is 2. So 2 root 13. And we want to write, sorry I'm running out of room here, but the magnitude is equal to 2 root 13. Square root. There we go. Magnitude is equal to 2 root 13. right, so draw u plus v. You guys remember u plus v? You guys remember how to do that? You want to draw as best you can. Make sure you label what your answer is, though. You know what I mean? But as best as you can, draw a line that's parallel to this, right? You don't have a protractor, so I don't know, does that look parallel? And the same length. It's a little long. Maybe like that. Again, do the best that you can. And then parallel and same length as that one. So they should hit. Anyway. And then make sure you label it. I don't know how. Let's see, I'm trying to find a good color here. Let's do black. From this corner to that corner should be u plus v. So, oh, that's terrible. Oh, I think I'm in the way. What? Anyhow, oh, it should be from this corner to this corner, right? I don't know what I was doing there, but it's from that corner to that corner, and then it's label it, please. Label it, label it, label it. So I know which one it is, right? Just because I don't know which one it is, u plus v. Again, I don't expect perfection. I just need to know that you understand how to do it. It goes from corner to corner. That was pretty nice. Corner to corner. Okay, find the dot product. So another thing we got to do is figure out the dot product. All right, multiplying vectors. The dot product is going to be u1 times v1 plus u2 times v2, right? Another thing you need to know how to do, right, on your cheat sheet. But anyway, let's call this u. Let's call this v. So u1 will be 6, v1 will be 2. So 6 times 2 is 12, plus 3 times negative 4 is negative 12, right? Which is 0. So is the answer. Okay, now use a dot product to find the magnitude. You're asked to solve for the magnitude for this, right? Now, shortcut way, but let's just do this properly. Do you guys remember that I is equal to 1, 0, right? You guys remember that? And j is equal to 0, 1. Oops, hey, oh, let's go back. 0, 1. So it's 20 times 1, 0 minus 25 times 0, 1. And then, so it'll be 20, 0 minus 0, 25. Let's go plus. Let's change that to a negative. I think that'll be easier. So keep it a plus. You know, that way this stays negative. And I mean, you can make this a negative, make that a plus, you'll still get the same answer. but it's ultimately going to be 20 plus negative 25. And anyhow, do you guys see what the component form of this? Do you guys see the similarities? But that's not what it's asking for. What's it asking for? The magnitude. So the magnitude of V is equal to the square root of 20 squared plus negative 25 squared, right? Which is 400 plus 625. Hard for me to write sideways. 625 square root of 1025. Right? Is that right? And then we can break down the 1025. You have to simplify it. So 1025 is going to be 25 and I think 41. No, wait. Oh, because negative 25 squared is positive 625. But negative times negative is a positive. If you put when you're entering in your calculator, Robert, put parentheses, negative 25, parentheses, and then square. That way the negative stays in there. Anyway, this is 41. And then this is 5 and 5. So it'll be square root of 5 times 5 times 41. Break out of jail. 5 root 41. 5 root 41. That's the, let's write it in magnitude form. The magnitude of V is 5 root 41. Five square root 41, 5 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 square root 41. Use Heron's formula to solve for the triangle. I didn't do the, oh my gosh, I got to do that one. I got to do a slide for that one. All right, let's use Heron's formula. All right, so another thing you might want to put on your notes is what is Heron's formula. Remember, Heron's formula helps us solve for the area given all three sides of a non-right triangle, or for a right triangle too, but you don't need Heron's formula for a right triangle. So anyway, you have to figure out S and then the square root of S times S minus A times S minus B times S minus C. So let's figure out what S is first. I will do it in blue. S is equal to A plus B plus C all over 2. 1, 2, 3. 35 plus 25 plus 32 all over 2. So let's add those up and divide by 2. And that'll get us the S. 35 plus 25 plus 32, and then divide that by 2, and I get S equals 46. Okay, so I got the S. So now let's solve for the area. So area is equal to square root of 46 times 46 minus a is 25. Oh, I'm going to run out of room. Oh my gosh. Times. Sorry, I'm running out of room here. Let me rewrite it here. So, area, I'm rewriting it, everyone, is equals square root of 46 times a, which is 20, which is 46 minus a, which is 25, times 46 minus b, which is 35, times 46 minus c, which is 32. Okay, so let's just subtract this parentheses. 46 minus 25 is 21. 46 minus 35 is 11. And then 46 minus 32 is 14. And then 46 times 21 times 11 times 14. Square root of 1, 4, 8, 7, 6, 4. Approximately 385.7 meters squared. Let's double check my answer. So you guys got? You guys get that on your test before, from before? Okay, so give me a second to add number 10. Here we go. Find the angle between the two vectors. Another thing that you guys must, where'd my flippy chart go? Is finding the angle is cosine theta over vector 1 times vector 2 divided by the magnitude of the vectors, right? So here's the equation right here. Cosine of theta is equal to vector 1 times vector 2, which, how do we multiply vectors? What do we use? The dot product, right? Divided by the magnitude, which we already know. Now the magnitude will be, well, let's solve it, okay, shall we? I feel like we're running out of room here. You guys need to write that down? Then we'll put it all together. So let's find the dot product first. Can I see this? Dot product is going to be negative 1 times 0 plus 0 times 2. Right? Negative 1 times 0, 0 times 2, which is 0 plus 0, which is 0. There's my dot product. Then we got to solve for the magnitude, which once it's in component form, the magnitude's pretty straightforward. The magnitude's going to be v1 squared plus v2 squared, or 0 squared plus 2 squared, which is 0 plus 4, which is square root of 4, which is 2. So there's my magnitude of v. So that's my magnitude of v. I also have to get my magnitude of u, which I'm running out of room here, but magnitude of u is square root of negative 1 squared plus 0 squared, which is the square root of 1, which is 1. That's the magnitude of u. But nonetheless, now I can put it all together into this. So I'm just going to go down here. It's going to be U times V is 0, right? We just did that. That's the dot product. Over, now the 0 makes it already easy, but let's just keep going with it. Magnitude of U is 1 times the magnitude of V is 2, which is 0 over 2, which nonetheless is 0. But, sorry, I should write this part. Cosine of theta is equal to that. So the cosine of theta is equal to 0. Now there's a couple ways we can solve this. We can get the inverse cosine. Or you can look at your unit circle, which is 90 degrees. This one ended up being nice and easy because you end up having 0. But if it's something like a decimal, that's easy. You can work with the decimal. You just put in, right? Put a number there. That is pretty much it.